All right, guys, we made it to episode 129 on the Homestead Shop Talk podcast with Al from Lomina Acres, Ben from Holler Homestead, and myself, Jason from Soil the Land. And today we have a guest in the shop,
Hey, what's going on,
Morgan.
everybody?
Yeah, Morgan from Gold Shop Farm. What's up, man? It's been a while.
It has been, yeah, we were just, yeah, it was queuing up. Like, yeah, it's been a couple of years since I feel like we've been in the same room face to face. I feel like Al, I run into either at like Home Depot or at like farm auctions basically all the time on the regular.
Nice. So you guys can relate weather-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say because I just listened to your last episode today while I was doing some stuff outside, and it was like, oh wow, I guess I'll balance things out tonight so that like Al's not alone. Because yeah, we're like a half an hour apart, not too far.
Something like that, I think. Yeah. So I'm sure it's gonna be
Commiserate.
pretty much.
Yeah, because me and Ben talk about our weather all the time, and then I was like, it's -2 or something.
I think we're definitely getting negatives again tonight.
That's what they're calling for.
Yeah. Just brought the cats in. I just went outside right before this and like smashed. So I don't heat my cattle water troughs, and so I do like go out and smash the ice though every 6 to 12 hours just to like make sure it doesn't get too thick. And
Oh
so I
man,
just did a round of that.
wow.
It's -2 right now. It's gonna get
Is it
down to
okay?
-10.
Yeah, see, we're -1 right here. So yeah, we just crossed over.
Yeah, that never happens here, really.
I hate to think what would happen down here if we got to
I
negative
know
temperatures. It'd be the end of the world.
it would be. So Morgan, so tell us a little about yourself. So fo folks who are listening, uh, just so they know who you are, and if they don't know who you are already.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Morgan Gold. I have a farm here in Peacham, Vermont, which, like I said, is not too far from Al. I have been running this farm for, gosh, it's almost been like 8 years. Like I feel like I just went through my 20 like seventh full season. We've just entered into like the eighth one. Where I didn't have any farming background whatsoever, lived in Washington, D.C., and bought this farm, and my wife and I moved out here, and I started with like 40 ducks, but these days I've got ducks, geese, chicken, goats, a pretty good sized cattle herd, a whole bunch of trees, and yeah, I make videos about everything on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, kind of all the usual places.
Awesome, man. So we're gonna be getting into you're getting a new book coming out here soon, right?
Yeah, so I have a brand new book coming out this winter. It is called Dirt Rich Living, and it basically takes a lot of the stories of like leaving city life and coming to the farm, finding it, learning kind of the different types of things that you learn with the various types of animals, as well as like I guess like the big theme of the book is the idea that like you might dream of going to a farm and thinking like, hey, if I go to a farm or a homestead, like world's going to be great and life's going to be perfect and it's going to fix all my problems. And the honest answer, it is actually the opposite of that, and that it really makes all of those things kind of like bubble up to the surface. And so, yeah, that's the new book that's coming out this winter.
Awesome, man. The Simple Life, right? This is the simple life, isn't it?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys know this just as well, right? Like, you have like all these visions and plans of like, oh, if I get my own land, I'll be able to do this thing, and like, I'll just take this one more thing. And it took me a couple of years before I like actually realized that like to get to that place, you actually need to be changing how you think about the world versus changing your setting or adding a certain source for food or having this thing or that. Like all of those things are almost distractions from like kind of the real things you got to really figure out in terms of like what are you doing and
Hmm.
why are you doing it and like what are the things that matter to you in life.
Right.
Yep.
I know it's so like, yeah, it's definitely those romantic ideas, right? Like of when you start to live this life, I think a lot of us fall into the romanticize it kind of a little bit. I know I did. We did for a little bit, but
Well, you almost need to, right? Because it's
yeah.
like the romanticizing part is what gets you motivated. It's the thing that like makes you want to make the changes and like do the things to
Mhm.
like uproot your life and like move across the country or like leave your city job. Like that's the thing that inspires you. You need that. But there's also this element of, kind of recognizing that that isn't going to solve the things that are, necessarily making you unhappy. And so, yeah, no, I mean that's what the new book's about.
Okay.
I've also, I don't know if you guys have seen this. I started drawing comics again. So like I was always like an art school kid, and so now I've been drawing comics about the farm and just like farm life in general, the world in general, and I don't know, it's been kind of a fun outlet too.
Oh,
Because
really?
like I mean, and Al, I mean, you probably don't find this right now as you're working on the house, but like the winter time around here, like the farm stuff, like building projects generally, unless you're doing something indoors, grind to a halt. You only have so much you have to do with the animals. Like, I sold about 5 head of cattle and sent a steer off. And so I've got my cattle now like off pasture in their winter yard. So I only have to feed them hay a couple times a week. Bird and goat chores take, I don't know, 30 minutes a day. And so you find that you have like a lot of time, and so like that's where now it's like this time of year it's like either writing or drawing and doing that sort of stuff.
So, like comic books that you printed out that people could buy,
Well,
or is it more
I got
online?
like a Substack, so I don't know because Substack's I guess the thing that everybody does now. So it's like I'll draw them and put them online. I'm working on this like graphic novel that's like 150 pages, and that's going to take me all winter to draw, and like I'm about a little past a third of the way done with that.
Yeah.
Um, but I figured like, hey, if I'm gonna start doing this seriously, I should probably like start putting stuff out on the regular because I don't know if you guys found this, like I always struggled with like completing stuff until I started posting videos on social media. And that like quick hit of like dopamine that you get by posting that gets you motivated and keeps you going on to the next thing and like building that momentum.
Yeah.
At least for like my ADHD brain, I need that. And so that's where, yeah, I started just putting out like weekly comic strips as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems different. I mean, I guess not for you, but you've been doing it a
I mean,
while.
it's a little weird. I mean, I'll totally acknowledge that.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
What's the comic about?
Just
Well,
different.
so the like the big long thing I'm doing is like it's like this story just about Vermont because like as I've moved here and like gotten to know the community and like started to understand like kind of what's happening here, the economy of this state, I actually am just fascinated with it. And so I'm trying to find a way to tell the story of like some of the struggles of like essentially a rural community that had some very specific key industries that were its backbone 30, 40, 60 years ago. But now, like a lot of those things have been kind of hollowed out and, trying to say, well, what is this economy beyond just like a tourist economy? Like trying to make sense of that. And so that is in a very like obtuse way how I would describe it, like what it's about. But it really is just more about like a kind of mid-sized rural Vermont town and like kind of the struggles that it has.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, man.
That
I mean, I'm sure
sounds
it's
like
probably stuff
here.
you guys relate to too, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
like being
absolutely.
in more rural areas where it's like as like the core places where people would earn like a middle class income like have sort of gone away. People are sort of struggling to say how do you kind of make it all work, and I don't think people like any real communities have significantly stumbled on a good, sustainable, long-term solution.
Right. So do you sell anything from the farm? Like, do you do
Oh yeah, yeah.
anything like that?
Um,
Like,
yeah. So
I know we talked about before, but I haven't talked to you in a while. So
yeah, no. So like the farm products I do, and like I'm actually I just started doing like all the spreadsheets. I do like every year I do like how much money the farm made video, where like I set aside the social media stuff because I feel like that's sort of an outlier.
yeah.
But when I think about what we earn from growing trees and beef and eggs and goose meat and like those types of things, we still do a lot of that. So it's like trees, geese, and beef are like the biggest things I do. In years past, I've done pork. This year, I took off from pigs because I added goats into the mix. And so
Mm.
I always kind of subscribe to the rule of like only do one thing new at a time. And like just because it is just me doing all the stuff on the farm, I also am just very conscious of I only have so much time. And so at this stage of the game, if I'm going to add more things on, I've got to like stop something. And so I also just don't like pigs all that much. And so yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
do pigs this year, but that's usually in the mix as well for me.
So can you keep the goats in?
Yeah,
They're pretty
so
good.
I basically had always sworn off never getting goats because like one of the first things I did with this property is we planted about 600 trees. I've probably planted another 350 trees over the last 7 or 8 years since I've been here. And like I was always like, oh, if I get goats, the goats are going to escape because goats are escape artists. And if they
Yeah.
do that, then they're going to eat my trees and like a decade's worth of work will be ruined in the matter of like, lazy afternoon. But I did a fundraiser last year. So our community here in Peacham got hit really hard with the flooding last year. Like one of my neighbors died. We
Mm.
had just like horrible damage, just like right here in our neighborhood. Even the backside of the farm is still like a mess, like in the woods, um, from just runoff and flood damage. And so we ended up doing a fundraiser, and I said, "Hey, look, if we can raise $100,000, I will get goats." And that was like the deal I made with the audience, and being like, "Hey, we're gonna do this." And shockingly, we actually raised more than that. And so I ended up getting a couple of
Wow.
weathers. And like at first it was just kind of like their mascots. And then I was actually down at Jess Sowers' place in South Carolina at Roots and Refuge this winter. And when I was there, I showed up and there were like these little two goat kids that she had born, these like little Nubians. And I don't know. I'm not sure if Jess had like a plan behind it or if I'm just like a sucker, but like
That's
I ended up
perfect.
like falling in love with them. And so I went back there in September and picked them up and drove them up to Vermont. And so now I have these two dairy goats that I'll probably breed late next year. And then I'm going to start experimenting with like goat milk. And surprisingly, they haven't escaped. I think my fencing skills have gotten pretty good over the years. And so,
Nice.
I have like a goat Fort Knox, and that's been an important part of the equation. And then I do like a lot of stuff with like, I use poultry netting instead of the sheep netting, and just move them at different like fence lines and have them clear stuff because, they don't really produce much because, at least for the most part, they've been wethers, but they do a pretty good job with like saving me from having to do like weed whacking and,
Heck yeah.
the brush cutting and all that good stuff.
Landscape crew.
Yeah. Groundskeepers.
So how do you sell like the products and stuff? Like, do they come to you or you do farmers markets or something?
No, so I do all like basically I do drops, probably not that different than what you do, like where I do drops through my website. Like the beef or the trees, people will just email me and I have kind of like a waiting
Oh,
list for
okay.
that stuff. And so
Cool.
like when I sell beeves, I do like halves and wholes now. Like
Yeah.
that's I've kind of like the first time I did retail cuts, but just it's just too complicated.
Yeah.
And plus I have Highlands and Highlands are really hard to get USDA processed.
Really?
And so yeah, because the horns
Mm,
are really hard for a lot of the commercial shoots. And
I
so
see.
I think the closest facility I could find here was about a 3 hour drive that would take Highland, like adult Highland spans. And so it just doesn't make any sense. Plus, just I did my first on-farm slaughter here this year, and like it was so much less stress on the animal. Like
Oh
where it was
yeah.
like to do the like, I brought a guy on and for like $125, he basically got it down to quarters for me, and I just had to help with the tractor to like manage it. And basically though, like I just walked my steer out to the pasture where we wanted him with a bucket. He was just right there. The guy I
Yeah.
brought on, he had, a high caliber rifle, and just it was like done so quickly versus like when I've had to load steers onto trailers before, it's like stressful and fighting them on, and just it sucks. And yeah, so at this point I think I'm gonna always do on-farm slaughter.
Oh heck
But the
yeah.
consequence of
That's
that is you
best.
can't do like retail cut sales. You have to do like halves, wholes, and
Mm,
quarters.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So much better though for the animal and for you.
Exactly, exactly. But like, like when I do like poultry, so I don't know like what North Carolina is like, but here in Vermont, you can do up to 1,000 birds slaughtered on farm. And as long as you're selling them at farmers markets or on farm,
Hmm.
you can sell them to customers. And so the way I'll typically do that, like with the geese in most years, is I will like let people put a deposit down through my website. That way it like covers my costs for like raising the bird. But if they flake out, I keep the deposit, but then I've basically paid for the cost of the bird and I can either try to resell it or just keep it myself. But usually what they'll do is they'll come and they'll pay the remaining balance based on weight. And
Mm.
then that actually keeps me in compliance with like the state laws. And so that's typically like when I'm selling poultry, that's usually how it'll go.
Oh, I
But I
see.
only sell geese. I don't sell ducks or chickens anymore. Those just end up in our freezer for us to eat when we.
Oh yeah. Yeah, geese are fun.
Yeah, like the way we do it is we have like a one weekend butchering each year, and like the ducks and geese, like we don't usually wax the ducks, but the geese will wax, just because they are like a more high value bird. But yeah, it sucks. It's not fun.
Well, how many do you at a time usually?
I did like 35 this year.
Oh, okay.
And so like I have a couple friends that I'll hire to help, and
Mhm.
Like we've done it now a couple, like I think this is like this past fall was like the third year in a row that we did it exactly this way. And it's just, I don't know, you know how it is. Like once you start doing something and you get a system down, a lot of the wasted time and energy of just like figuring out how something works and how to do it, like actually, I'm not sure if Al, if you want, I think it's okay long enough. So like the first time I ever did ducks, right? I actually borrowed Al's plucker, and it was like the first time I'd ever
Nice.
butchered poultry, and it was the first time I'd like helped somebody with chickens once, but I'd never done ducks before, and it was the worst day of my farm life up to that point.
Yeah.
At this point now, though, because of this is like the seventh season of butchering waterfowl, it's like, oh, I know how to deal with it and know what to expect, and
Right.
it's just it makes you better, more efficient in how you do stuff.
Oh yeah. I think we all have those first time stories.
Yeah.
I think we plucked the chicken dry the first time. We, we didn't dunk it. I don't know what I was thinking, but
I mean, like every so often, like I don't know if you guys like where you have a bird you have to dispatch like out of
yeah.
cycle. At this point, I don't even pluck them. I will just skin them and like
Mhm.
call it a day just because like it's not like I don't even have I used to have a plucker. I don't even have a plucker anymore because I need such a high powerful one for particularly like the geese.
Yeah.
And so yeah, now I'll just skin them and I
I
know it's like
see.
less efficient, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I mean this is another difference between like dreaming of farm and homestead life versus being there where you always are thinking about, well, how do I like maximize efficiency and get the most out of something and do something the best, and like you can kind of do anything, but you'll eventually pretty quickly find that like time is your biggest limiting factor,
Hmm.
and
Mhm.
so often the juice is not worth the squeeze with so many things that like might seem like a great idea but then you realize they're not. Like I don't know, I feel like
Yeah.
that's an important
Or you
lesson.
want to get to a certain volume of something. Like if you're like scaling and scaling and scaling, you're like, okay, I'm doing too much here. Yeah,
Oh,
no.
exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's where like the cattle's been awesome, right? Like, so I got to my high was like 29 head this summer, and like I'm now back down to like a 21 or 22, and that shift, you realize though, like having another steer or, a heifer or whatever is like not a hassle when you're keeping everybody together. But the second you start to have to separate out your herd for breeding and doing other things, that's where it gets complicated. And so, like, it's more about making sure I only have two herds of cattle going at once to keep like life from getting too crazy versus worrying about like 26 versus 35 because that actually might not be that much of a difference.
So I'm wondering, well, like, what does a typical day look like for you these days?
I mean, and I guess like on the winter time, I usually will get up like still
Mm.
pretty early, but not as early as like the summer months. Like summer, it's like I don't know, I don't get enough sleep because I'm just like almost driven by sun time, and
Yeah.
so like it's like getting light at 4 o'clock. I'm usually up around 4 o'clock, but like this time of year, it's like yeah, I'll usually sleep into like 5:30, 6 ish.
Hmm.
But I'll get up, I'll do some writing and drawing for a little bit, get outside by like 7:30, do chores for about an hour. If there's some stuff I have to do, I might do it outside. Then I'll usually come inside. Like this time of year, like I said, like it's a lot of, writing, drawing. I don't know. Sometimes you have to do like calls and that sort of stuff too.
Right.
But like, yeah, that, and then, kind of work until about
You
4 or 5 and
you
yeah,
don't
make dinner.
you edit your own videos, or you don't
Um,
edit your videos?
I edit about half of them.
Oh, okay.
Like I have an editor who she covers like a lot of like the regular sort of usual like chore videos. Over the last couple of years, I've started doing like longer video essays too. Like for example, like I did like a three last year. I did like a 3 hour video on the Back to the Land movement, right?
Mm.
And that's the type of stuff I'll still edit. That I edit all my short form stuff still.
Oh,
But
okay.
like I've got kind of the like a typical like just call it like a chore vlog, right? Where it's like, yeah, let's whatever I'm doing today, kind of show people what's going on. Like usually I'll have an editor, she'll cut a lot of those, and
Yeah.
like get them kind of like to 90%, and then I'll usually like do like the last 10%, like
Oh, okay.
nailing stuff and adding clips and that sort of thing.
I mean, you don't edit every day, almost
Um,
every day.
I'm usually editing
Something.
something every day. Yeah, because
Yeah.
like right now, for example, I'm working on this a really long video about the rise and fall of the farm to table movement.
Hmm.
And it's like an hour long video. And so that takes a lot of time. That'll probably take like 40 hours of editing to like get that together. And so like that's the big project I'm editing on right now.
Nice. 40 hours. Yeah.
Oh,
Heck
I mean,
yeah.
you guys know how it is. Like it's, and when they're like, because a lot of these videos are like heavily researched, and I try to pull clips and interviews and source stuff. I've actually stopped using any sort of AI image generation, and I'm drawing and animating all the stuff myself now, which is
Okay.
also like wicked time consuming.
Heck yeah.
And so yeah, like that
That's
that
cool
that will eat
though.
up my time.
It's more
Yeah, it's
thoughtful.
yeah, it's
Seems
been
like it.
interesting.
Yeah. Just make it, yeah. Let's see how much longer I can make this. I know I'll draw it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, this isn't hard enough. Let's really up
Yeah.
it. I mean, I don't know, like I don't know how you guys have felt about it, but like when it comes to the AI stuff, right? Like I'm always been like a person who I consider myself sort of like technology forward, and I want to experiment and try new things and dabble with it. And so as a lot of like the image generation tools and like music generation tools and a lot of these things came out, I was like the first to like explore it and use it. But like what you start to see it doing to everything and like just, I don't know, the slopification of the world, it kind of hit me this summer where I was just like had like almost like a full-on rejection of it now. And now I'm
Yeah.
like not doing that stuff. Um, and I'm almost like, yeah, leaning into the antithesis of it, which is like everything hand drawn,
Yeah,
like
you went the polar opposite. You're like, yeah, not only am I
exactly.
not using AI, but I'm going to hand draw everything now.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly. I mean, I have a quick video about Vermont. I'm gonna probably put out tomorrow or the next day, and like all of that is hand drawn, and it's just like, well, it's like, I mean, it doesn't take that much longer, but it is like probably another 6, 8 hours worth of work.
Well, just a paltry 6 to 8 hours of work. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's all relative, I guess. See, but I have the advantage. I don't have kids, right? Like that makes life like that's a life hack that I think some folks don't know. Like when you don't have kids, you have like a lot of time to do lots of other very silly and like not necessarily worthwhile things.
So what are you raising
Oh
over there
no.
for trees and what are you selling?
So
Oh
the
yeah.
biggest one is always still chestnuts. And just like I think what I said, I grew about 320 this year. And like I kept like I usually keep about 40 or so for myself, and then I sell to folks basically like who are usually doing food plots and that sort of thing. And so I'll just pack them up in a box and ship them off. They're bare root trees. I have like a really easy system, and if anybody's listening to this, steal it because it's the best way to grow all sorts of trees. But like I'll take chestnuts. I'll buy seed from a couple different places. I'll put inside like a 5 gallon bucket. I'll cut the bottom of the 5 gallon bucket off and put hardware cloth on the bottom so that it can drain. And then I will pack that bucket with wet sand and chestnuts, and I'll put probably like 100 seeds in one bucket. And then I bury that bucket in the ground like in like late October, early November, before like the ground really freezes up. And then they will sprout by themselves because they go through like a process known as cold stratification. This process works for hazelnuts, acorns, walnuts, like a whole host of different types of trees. But chestnuts are the favorite to do it. And I'll then dig those buckets up in like early May, and I'll have like probably like a 90-95% germination rate. And then I can take those sprouted seedlings, put them in a bed, let them grow for a year. Then you basically have like a 1 year bare root seedling that you can then pull out. And then those will ship really well if you wait till they go dormant in like November, or you can like leave them in your basement in some wet sand and they'll store pretty well. And then those are the ones that you can then plant wherever you want. Usually I put like a tree tube on them if I'm planting them here. And so chestnuts are the big ones. Black locust I'll also do because people like those for fence posts and like landscape management. I usually do apples, but because of the drought this year, my apple beds like all died, and because I don't usually water them, and like I have them in a spot in the farm where I don't typically need to water them. And so I didn't do any apples this year just because it was so bad with the drought. Because usually we just don't have to water. Apples are also really easy to start too. Like the way I do my apple trees is like we'll make cider, or we'll have friends who make cider, and you get all of the pulp from making the cider, right? And inside that pulp are thousands and thousands of seeds. And so typically what I'll do is I'll take that pulp and I'll spread it out on some wood mulch and then just let it go and come back in September, October of the next year. And there'll be a couple hundred seedlings that have sprouted up just naturally. Those are going to be wild apple seed. And so whether or not they're going to be a good apple is a little bit of a crapshoot. But what you can always do is you can graft onto those root stocks and you can put like whatever scion wood you want and get whatever apple cultivar you want off of it. And so for essentially free, you can get hundreds of apple trees for nothing and then make them whatever you want because scion wood too, if you know what you're doing, is also free more or less. And like it just becomes a really easy way to get a lot of apples, which like especially for our climate, Al, like nothing grows better. Like their apples are essentially weeds in this environment, which is great.
You ship the trees at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
like typically what you do is like, box them up, wrap them in saran wrap
Mm.
around the base. Just not that different than if you went to like Stark Brothers or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more low tech.
Okay. So why the chestnuts? Why'd you pick that one?
Because I have like a lot of heart for chestnuts. Like chestnuts are one of the most underrated trees and one of the most important trees to America and like North American history. But you know, for
Chestnuts
folks
over the open fire?
yeah, I
Like
mean,
like
yeah, I
that?
mean, sure. I mean, they're wonderful, like as just as an eating thing, but like nutritionally, they've got like a nutrition profile very similar to brown rice. Native folks like really made them, particularly east of the Mississippi, made them a significant part of their diet. Um, what happened though is in the early 20th, late 19th, early 20th century, Chinese chestnut trees were starting to come in. Those carried a fungus, and that actually had a blight that killed a lot of trees. But then the USDA forest management practice at the time, like in the early 20th century, when they were dealing with this, was well, let's just cut down all the chestnut trees. And so that's where they almost became extinct in North America, particularly like the American chestnut tree east of the Mississippi. And people have been pushing hard to bring them back, and they've been slowly creeping back a little bit. And some people have blight resistant genetics, others don't. I usually have like Chinese American chestnut hybrid genetics for a lot of the seed that I start. And those are more blight resistant. They're also a little bit smaller though. And so I just think that like the world needs more people growing chestnut trees, and that was like one of the earliest trees I built into the farm, and yeah, have just been doing it ever since.
But you don't like hogs. Your pigs would love eating cleaning up all your chestnuts.
I wanted to like pigs so much. I mean,
How can you not like pigs?
they're just so pushy and messy.
That's
I
when it's time
love
to send them to
cattle.
the butcher shop.
I mean, right, I know, and it's like I guess that's the reason, but like I love cattle. Like, you know, there is nothing I like better than like being able to like go out in the morning on a summer morning and do, you know, once or twice a day pasture moves and moving the polywire and watching them graze and seeing what they do to the, like that to me is beautiful and magical and I love it. Pigs are like I don't know, unless you're moving them quick enough, they will just turn everything into a moonscape. And if you're not moving them perfectly with outstanding fencing, they will escape and just, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
They're entertaining for sure. They're entertaining.
Oh, for sure. No doubt about it. I mean, and they've got personality and like, you know, little 10-week, 12-week old wieners are adorable, but
Yeah.
man, like
You,
after month two, like you're so ready for those pigs to be gone.
you need to get a couple of coney pigs.
Yeah, yeah, because you guys like you're doing the smaller like kuni, right?
Yeah, the coney pig. Yeah,
Yeah,
coonies. Yeah, easy going.
yeah. But
They would not even root at all.
yeah,
It's
I mean
crazy.
that's what I hear. Like, so those the Idaho pasture pig, I've also heard has been like go that.
Yeah,
I'm typically going with like the regular old
the big
industrial
old
farm
pig.
breeds.
Yeah.
I have a friend,
Hmm.
he does like a larger scale pig operation. So
Oh
when I've
yeah.
done pigs in the past, I'll just buy a couple of his and keep it simple. But yeah,
Yeah.
not a fan. I will never breed pigs. I can almost guarantee that.
Ben
'Cause
knows all about it.
you guys, you have you been breeding?
Oh, I've been breeding for 6 years now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I mean, I remember like
Yeah.
when I visited you guys, like yeah, you had like the kind of the pig forest with the boar and everybody there kind of doing their thing, and Yeah.
We're actually getting out of the guinea hog game. Um, Basically, I think we're down to 4 guinea hogs now, plus the boar. Um, I'm gonna breed the boar. Every year we've had to buy feeder pigs, and so I just do these, you know, whatever I can get my hands on. This year we've got, I call them Hamrocks. It's a Hampshire Duroc cross. Um, and we couldn't sell guinea hogs last year. I think I sold 4 out of the nearly 20 that we had. And so I just held on to them. Man, I've had the busiest season. As soon as it got cold enough to start butchering, I've been putting them all in the freezer. We are going to be very, very flush with pork this year. Um, but yeah, this past weekend we did one of the big pigs, and it was like shocking. I'm used to seeing these, little bit of guinea hogs, and this big pig was 360 pounds, and it looked like a toy next to, a side of this big pig. But yeah, we're gonna get out of these guinea hogs, and I'm gonna start breeding big pigs.
Wow.
I can't do the little pigs anymore, especially when
Well,
they don't sell.
yeah, I was gonna say like
Yeah.
the economics must be harder too because it's like your time and cost of slaughter and everything you've got to do like to get there gets defrayed over such a smaller base versus yeah, you get a big animal and like that's a lot of meat that you produce.
It's definitely been a fun learning experience. Um, I don't want to like run down American guinea hogs. They're a great pig if you're just starting out. But if you're trying to feed a very large family, maybe go with some bigger pigs.
Yeah, I don't know, like because everybody was like really into the Mangalitsa, right? For a while,
Mhm.
like they were like the hot like homestead pig, and I feel like those have fallen out of favor too because they take like 2 or 3 years to mature, right? Like they're
Yeah,
nice and
it's like
fuzzy,
two
but
years, 2 year grow out, just like a guinea hog.
That's like the
yeah.
Coonies too. Like that's all those
Oh, they
guys.
have they have a 2 year, yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that kind of scares me, right? Because like in this climate, the idea of doing pigs in winter is not something because of like the watering challenges that come with it all, like is not
Yeah.
necessarily something I'd want to have to contend with.
Breaking the ice every 6 hours.
Well, even I mean, here's actually the thing, and I've never, and Al, you probably know this better, right? Like the nipple, like I've built waterers that usually rely on like the nipple drinker with either like a hose that runs down from a reservoir or like the typical like 50 gallon buck barrel with like the nipple at the bottom. But like I just imagine that would freeze really quick. And then what do you do about that when it does freeze? Like your whole water reservoir is going to freeze. And so you have like a, 50-gallon tank of ice, which, good luck waiting 6 weeks until that melts.
We just switched to rubber dishes and just do like the small rubber dish waters a couple of times a day.
But don't they just tip them over?
No, we have
Hmm.
in the wintertime we don't. In the summer, yes, but in the wintertime, I don't know if it's because they don't care to wallow in the water, I think, so they don't want to
Mm.
knock it over and deal with it.
They're not hot.
They're not
All right,
hot,
all
and
right,
they
that
don't want
makes
to lie
sense.
in cold water. So that's usually we just switch over, and it
Yeah,
works out. It works out good. There's no smell. They don't dig moon crater holes usually because it's snowing.
yeah,
They like the hay, so it's a different season with pigs. It's kind of cool. It's not the same. You're not dealing with the mud. You're not dealing with the digging up of the mud and the grass and everything. But yeah, you got to spend more time lugging water to them.
yeah. Nah, well, and I don't know. Did you guys hear the story of how I lost a pig last year?
Mm-mm.
You know,
So I literally lost a pig. So
Like lost them as in missing.
we call him Pigfoot now. He's like
don't
a
tell Jason this.
cryptid who might wander the farm. Like so last summer my wife and I went away on vacation for like a week and a half and we had some friends actually come and stay here on the farm and everything was good. They did a great job taking care of the animals and everything. I came back, the pig was there. We had four pigs at the time. They were about 2.5 months old. Um a day later, though, I went out to check on them and I could only find 3 pigs. And it was like, wait, what? And I went out looking, I was searching, I was looking, I was tracking, I was like going everywhere. No sign of them, no dead pig, no like signs of like pigs running around, no neighbors reporting any like, hey, there's a wild, 150-pound pig wandering around, like nothing like that, and just vanished. And like to this day, like I even like have merch that's like a sweatshirt that's like Pigfoot on it because it is such still a mystery. And I get questions from people all the time like, did you find him? Did you find him? And like
Wow.
anytime there's a pig that shows up as missing, like in this area, like people will immediately like message me and DM me pictures of, is that your pig? Is that your pig? And like, no, he was a Duroc. He's not that. And like, it just, it keeps coming up and it's a mystery. But yeah, like it's one of those things I don't
What?
think I'll ever have an answer to.
And
Bro,
that's
he's gonna show up
yeah.
one day and be like 900 pounds, 1,200 pounds, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, man,
I'm
remember me?"
back.
I know. Well, that is kind of my fear. Like I'll have to go out with like a 30-30, something big, like let's
Knocking on
go.
your window.
Yeah.
Morgan. Morgan. That's crazy. Does your area do you guys have wild hogs?
They do now.
Yeah, no. Well, not really, but there's been a couple incidents. So there is actually this farmer, about a half hour from me in Vermont, who he was like raising his pigs on a mountain, and like they kept escaping, and he was having like lawsuits and problems with neighbors in the town. But they never like really established as a population. But people are always saying and threatening that like there's these Canadian or like I guess they're Siberian pigs that they say could potentially come down. But I imagine it's hard for a pig in this weather because there
Mm.
just aren't a lot of great winter food sources, right? Like most of your winter wildlife, like bears, they're hibernating that time of year. They will gorge themselves on like acorns and other nuts, as one last call for the fall, and then they're gone until March, really, April. So I don't know. We don't have a ton of good food. I don't know. Al, do you have pigs wandering around at night?
I've never seen any, but I've heard the Canadian things. There's somebody up in Canada that had like a wild hog hunting thing and they've escaped, but the same thing. It's like there's no food for them.
Yeah,
It's all frozen, everything's covered. There might be some grass and some leaves, but I mean the deer's chewing on hemlock trees and stuff like that. I don't see the pigs doing it.
exactly. Like it's just like coyotes are out scavenging whatever died. Like there's not like a good like source of stuff in like the depths of January, February, March.
In the South, it definitely wild hogs. We don't really have them up here,
Yet.
but
But they have them down your area-ish in
I think South
North
Carolina.
Carolina,
South
South
Carolina.
Carolina.
I've seen one that was mounted that was shot around here, so
Mm,
I know they exist.
yeah.
Big, black, ugly, wild boar looking things.
I
I can
always hear
imagine.
people like down south hunting them and like
Mhm.
they often don't even eat them because it's just like one, there's so many of them. Two, there's like boar taint. But like I don't know, some people turn them into dog food, I guess.
I met one guy at Staples. He was working at Staples, and he's like, I was printing out one of our chicken butchering books, and he was like, you having a chicken butchering colored guide printed at Staples. You're gonna get questions asking you what the heck are you doing? Well, the guy was like, he hunted wild boars, and he was just saying, I think he did like 100 a year or something like that, and then he'd
Gosh.
like donate the meat to, whoever wanted it. Like he didn't even, he kept like one for himself, and the rest he just gave away,
Wow.
which is a way of doing it. It's a cool way of doing it, but yeah, there's so many.
100. That's a lot of, I mean,
I know that's crazy.
like call them like, I don't know, 250
Like
pounds, which
like
maybe is
rabbits.
low. Like that's a lot of meat you're producing right
Hmm.
there.
I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about the country life. Like what it is. I mean, some of that book you're that's coming out. Is it about like some of the stories there of
Yeah, well, I
first
mean, I
moving
know
or
I know one story that people associate with me and have heard a lot about. So, I mean, I imagine you guys have it down in North Carolina. And I know Al, the laws are different in New Hampshire, but here in Vermont, there's like what's known as hound hunting, like bear hound hunting, where people will have dogs that are trained to track either bear or coyote, is the other big one that is around here. And they'll send them out and they'll like range for miles. And they have like these GPS collars, and the GPS collar will like track where the dog is. And so those dogs will range like all around the countryside. Well, people have done it around here, and like I posted our land, and I've had like run-ins with hound hunters over the years. And so like there is like a whole chapter in the book talking about this. And like, yeah, I've had some like like issues with state troopers and game wardens and people on our land. And like a couple of years ago somebody almost tried to burn down our barn because they
Mm.
were so pissed off because of like all the uproar that came with it. And so yeah, I think for anybody moving out to the country, be careful understanding what your local hunting laws are and like what you're running afoul with, which was never like something I would like have expected to have been a problem, but
Mm.
like it was like not until like I was dealing with the issues and seeing that the dogs were actually exempted from the posting rules because, you know, obviously a dog can't read a sign, but then it's like, well, wait, what's the point of posting? And I was having issues with like my livestock guardian dogs getting all worked up with like the hounds coming on and just, it was, yeah, it's been a lot
Right.
of cases. It's calmed down in the last year or two. But there was, especially a couple of years ago, a lot of tension around that one.
So you don't have so much issues with that anymore.
No, I mean, and like this is like the really like kind of weird part about it. Like because I made videos about it, because I talked about it publicly, because it
Mm.
actually created a lot of uproar around here in general. Um, I think they did not like the attention, and so that's what kind
Oh,
of created a little bit more space and
yeah.
which is not a great way to do things, which is not like necessarily the way it should be done. And it's almost like for somebody who doesn't have like a platform, doesn't feel fair. But yeah, that's kind of for me what ultimately has kind of helped that situation.
Oh, okay. Don't go over there because Morgan will film you.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Don't go in that. Yeah.
I mean, it's weird too because it's like you know I like this was actually the weird thing. Like I hunt, like I just you know we just got through our rifle season here for deer, but I'm not like a huge like fan of hunting predators because I actually think we need them to balance out. Like whereas
Mm.
like we really need to hunt and like lower our deer numbers to help like young trees in this area and forest diversity in this area. Like I don't think we need to do that with coyotes and bear because they will essentially regulate their own numbers themselves and they do certain things with balancing the ecosystem where it's like coyotes like around here about 30% 40% of their diet is rodent and so like they're actually helping kind of keep those rodent numbers down and so you want some coyotes you just need to figure out ways to protect like your animals and kind of go from there and so I think that that is a different philosophy than some folks have when it comes to like certain animals and like what you hunt and what you don't hunt.
You have any issues with predators yourself? I mean, you have dogs, so they probably
Yeah,
take care of it
no, I
all.
mean, ever since I got livestock guardian dogs, I mean, I've lost a couple of birds here and there. I had like once a fox, like because like I will have my chickens follow my cattle, and that's actually pretty far away from where my two livestock guardian dogs are mostly posted up. I've had like an issue once or twice. I've lost a couple to like a hawk here and there. But for the most part, ever since we got the livestock guardian dogs, it made a difference. But before that, I was losing them to bobcats and I had a mink attack that was like one of the worst experiences I ever had.
Wow.
And like kind of like we had a lot of problems because we're like right up against the woods. Our backwoods connects to like another wave of backwoods, which ultimately leads to this like massive state forest here. And so like the wildlife will come in because we're just like right on the border of it all. But the dogs do this incredible job of, you know, you guys know, it's like they create that protective bubble, and that bubble really helps keep all of the animals that you got within that bubble pretty safe. Not like 100%, but like 95, 99.
What was some unexpected things that you thought, or maybe people told you stuff like if you move to the country, this is going to happen, and like maybe it didn't happen, or something like that. I don't know.
You know, I think I don't know if you guys found this. Like, I think the biggest myth I had was like, um, not realizing that when you live pretty far away from it, like, so like for me to go to like the big box stores, like all of that stuff, it's actually, you know, not too far from Al. Like, it's like a half hour away for me to go to pretty much anywhere. But even to like go like to like a more like a real city, like a couple weeks ago, my best friend from growing up, he actually got tickets to go see Paul McCartney, and he was like, "Dude, come with me." And I'm like, "All right." So I went up to Montreal with him to go see this Paul McCartney show, which was like weird because I'm like, I'm in the big city again suddenly, like, and
Flying
like so
cars.
Right, exactly. It's like, whoa, look, there's robots walking the streets
Yeah.
now. This is crazy. Like, and I think how out of the loop and how different like certain aspects of rural life and rural inconvenience are. And although I like really like them now, like trying to figure out how to get good internet out here. I remember that was like a horrible struggle. Trying to like, I mean, I learned to cook. Like I cook like most of our food now. When we first moved out here, I did not have those cooking skills, but we also didn't really have a good place to get food regularly
Mm.
because we'd like spent so much of our adult lives just like living off of takeout and restaurants and stuff. And I think that was one of the things of like not really putting two and two together that when you move to the country, you absolutely need to start to figure out how to do certain things that you would typically just like, go to your phone and like dial up whatever convenient service there was. Like there is no DoorDash, there is no Uber, there is no like TaskRabbit or any of those things here.
Right.
You really have to either have a friend who knows how to do something or you got to go learn how to do it yourself. It's like there's a lot of stuff that over the years I feel like I've had to like kind of piece together in that way.
A lot of people told me it was going to be, you're going to hate it because it's a lot slower paced. And it is.
Threaten me with a good time.
But
I know that's
but I
like the
don't hate
plus.
it. I know I don't hate it. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, you're gonna hate it because it's so slower." But I'm like, that's not, it's not an issue.
I think community plays a much bigger role too.
Oh
Like when
yeah.
I lived in like New York or I lived in like DC, um, even though you're like surrounded by people, I feel like I had a lot fewer close relationships than like the friends I have
Uh,
around here,
Hmm.
where you're like so interdependent on those friends and really need to like, be a member of your community and you need to participate. Like I don't even have kids and I'm on our like I'm the district treasurer for our school board just because like they need people to do stuff and like that participation in community was not something I really anticipated or thought about with country life, but I'd argue it's actually become one of the most important aspects of it.
Did you know
mm.
anybody when you moved there? Like
Not like
friends or
direct. I had
family?
friends like in different parts of the state, but not here specifically. Like we moved
Oh,
here,
okay.
not really researching the town or the area as much as like falling in love with the property and seeing like this farm was like on the market for like 6 years before we bought it, and so it was like, oh wow, that's the perfect place, even though it's got a couple of really big problems. And like that's what made us take the plunge. And I feel like we lucked out because like I love the town of Peachum. I love most of my neighbors. Like it's really like a great place to be. And there's other communities where I would not have been as happy if we had moved there, just even within an hour of here.
Hmm.
But it was just sort of dumb luck. And I think and Al, this is like where, you living in Bizarro, Vermont, you recognize there is this like really weird difference between like New Hampshire and Vermont, and like we're really close to the border, but you start to see even just like how like the communities are different. And for the type of person I am, I'm glad I'm in Vermont where it is like so community minded and everybody's working together. And it's like a just kind of a different vibe versus I always get this like perception of like the libertarian like New Hampshire, and it's like yeah, there's a lot fewer rules, but like it's also like I don't know, you're kind of on your own. At least is my like weird perception of it. And I'm glad I was here versus there. Yet that was not something I considered either when I was like trying to figure out where do I want to go live.
I mean, was it pretty easy finding, I guess your community out there? Like I guess having friends or meeting people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was easier than like being an adult and moving to a new city. Like I remember when I moved to
Yeah.
Washington, D.C., and I was like, let's see, when I was like 34 when I moved to D.C. And you have a job, and so you meet people through work, but you barely meet your neighbors. You barely like you're like awkwardly trying to make friends with especially other adult men, and just like weird. I don't know else to put it. And like yet here it's easier because you have things you have to do with people. And I think so much of community is
Mhm.
built when you're not just like trying to coexist in the same space, but you have like a task or a project or a goal that you need to work with other people and like roll up your sleeves and like, you're building a sugar shack or you're helping somebody,
A
cut down some
project.
trees. Like I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I found that so many of my bonds have been built by either having somebody help me or helping somebody else out in such a big way. Like that for me was like probably one of the biggest builders of community.
I remember my neighbor something's wrong with his well. Like he had this lid on his well pump or out. It was outside, and like there was multiple neighbors that walked across the street over there, and they were kind of like hanging out around his well. And I was like, maybe I should go over there. Because like all the neighbors are going over there, and I was like, I guess they're all the guys, anyways. And I was like, well, maybe I should walk over there see what's going on. It turned out like that he needed I don't know, he was trying to get quotes to build this well top and stuff, and it was like insane amount. And I was like, well, I got some scrap wood over here. Like we could just throw something together, and and then we next thing you know, we just put something together and made it for him for free. Like, but it's just
And
kind of
that's how a
fun.
relationship gets
Yeah,
built, just by, like building a
right.
cover like that and helping somebody like, yeah, it's incredible. It's like, and I think that's the other thing too. It's like everybody brings their own set of skills. It's like, you guys ever play like Oregon Trail when you're a kid, right?
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
You're
Oh
dating us
yeah.
now, Morgan.
what's that?
Yeah.
You're dating us now.
I know, right. Well, I figured, we're all like not too far in age. But like, you'd start the game and you'd either be like a carpenter from Indiana or something, or a banker from Boston, and like different things give you different skills and attributes and advantages and disadvantages. And when you start to put those things together with your neighbors, like a lot of cool stuff happens where it's like, you can find somebody who like is an incredible woodworker, or somebody who knows a whole ton about botany, or somebody who is just really experienced with animal husbandry. And as you guys work together on stuff, when you have a community that has rounded out skills, it's an incredible thing.
I mean, when you moved out there, I mean, was your family pretty supportive? Like,
Yeah, I
were
think so. I mean, so
they get
we,
it?
like my wife and I, we both grew up in central Connecticut. And so like we were moving back to New England, so it was closer than we were living at the time. I definitely knew like I was like, I can't live in this. Like, I was living in DC, and I'm like, I can't be in the South anymore. This is driving me nuts. And you guys were like, South, like,
Yeah.
but like for me, it was like, oh, this is just way too far south. I am a northeasterner New Englander absolutely by heart, and so I think my family was pretty happy about that, and just the fact that it's like, oh yeah, you can easily go up for a weekend. But it also at the same time, I think my wife and I kind of liked it a little bit that it was like we wouldn't be right on top of everybody, and so you
Hmm.
have like a little bit of a buffer, which is just about right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were overall supportive, even though they were like, wait, you're gonna have a farm, really? You? Like there was a lot of that for sure.
Yeah. Until you have all the food there, all the
Oh
good
yeah,
food there,
no,
all the
it's
geese.
funny. I'm actually gonna go make a run down to Connecticut in a week or so, and like yeah, like I'll be loading up the truck with like a whole bunch of beef and some birds, and like it's because it's like, oh yeah, we're bringing the supplies from up north.
Yeah, that's great.
It's amazing to me, and I don't know if you guys found this too, like just how quick the time goes. Like, it's actually just like, if you're thinking about like getting ready for this call tonight, I was like thinking like, God, I've known you guys all for so many years now. I feel like we were all kind of like, just getting started right around the same time, and like kind of seeing the progression of each of you and like what you guys have built. It's just, I don't know, it's awesome. Yet it goes so quick, and it feels like just yesterday, Al. Like I remember the first time I ever showed up at your place, like which wasn't even your off-grid place. It was like the old place before that place. And like it's just like, wow, where does that time go? It just goes so gosh darn quick.
Sure does.
Like
That's so
Ben, I was
true.
watching one of your videos not too long ago and seeing your kids, and it's like I just even remember the last time I saw your boys, and they're like, wow, they're men now. Like,
They're
all
men
right.
now.
Yeah. One's getting ready to pass me in height, probably in the
Yeah,
next,
crazy.
I don't know, 2 months. I guarantee you, I'm not the tallest one in the house anymore.
We moved out here in tw 10 years now almost. It was
Well, do you
crazy.
guys have anything that you use to like mark the passing of like, and I always call them seasons, even though I'm really talking about like a year, where it's like I think of like farming season as like a season, because it's like it starts in hatching season in like March, April, and then it runs till like October when you do your final butchering and stuff. And like, all right, that's the season. Like I've been trying to find a ritual. I don't think I have one yet that like marks that passing, but I feel like I need to do a better job as I realize that like, okay, let's say I live a very long time. Realistically, I'll only be doing another 40 of these, 30, like, and that would be extremely long. But like, wow, how do I count that? How do I make them count? Like, I don't know. A lot of things I've been thinking about lately are around that and like trying to find ways to do that. I don't know. So I don't know if you guys have a good way of doing it.
We do garlic. Garlic is one of those things, it always goes in the fall, and that both marks the end of the garden season and the beginning. Like it's crazy. Like every year we do garlic, it's almost like a ritual. And
Mm.
so, like this past year, we didn't get our garlic in until last month. Like it was November. It was almost Thanksgiving, and it was just like we're so far behind. But at the same time, we were the same time last year. So it's all worked out. And then, you harvest it in June and don't have to worry about it again until the leaves change color. So for us, garlic is like putting like you plant the garlic and we cover it up and, let it do its thing. It's like a nice like you're putting the garden to bed, but you're also planning for next year. Like I don't know why. Like garlic has always been one of those things. It's like, yeah, that's right. We're
Yeah.
done for the year and starting at the same time.
Lately for me, it's been turkeys.
Mm.
Butchering our turkeys was like the last, we're the last poultry butchering, and it's like it feels like it's fall when you butcher turkeys, even though sometimes it's in August. But if it just feels like I guess that transition, I don't know.
Snow falling and the ground freezing, because then your projects come to a halt.
Right, but
No,
but
no
see,
digging
the thing
holes.
I struggle with that is right. Like, I mean, there's no magic where I feel like the last couple of years we've been able to cheat like all the way into like December.
Oh yeah,
This year I feel like it hit fast. Like it went
it
from
has.
being, wow, it's 60 degrees out. I'm like wearing way too much clothing here again on a October afternoon to suddenly like, oh, it's like negative. Like last week, like we had like crazy quick negatives that
Yeah.
went. It was like the low was like 20 something, 25, 26. Like, it's nothing. Don't even worry about it. I still had my cattle out on pasture because I could have my above water system running. But then, like, I had to like quickly get the last of them in because it was like, oh, I got to drain everything and like blow the lines out because winter is here.
But I agree though. Like I feel like there should be something a transition there though, because I think we can all get kind of well, for me anyways, like every day is kind of the same, like kind of Groundhog Day of like, well, like we're starting winter again, and then I feel like it's just gonna be the same thing that I've done in the last few years. And like, how is that different? Or is that just the way it is? Like, if I kind of feel like if you're doing things, I don't know, right, then it should be repetitive. Like, it should be the same thing over and
Mhm.
over again.
They're the same, but they're like, I don't know. You guys ever read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King? I don't know. Probably.
No.
All right. So to spoil the entire book series for everybody, because it's like 8 books long. Ultimately, the book ends exactly the way it begins, but you start to see that it changes with each revolution. And like I'm starting to like realize that like this isn't just a secret to the farm, but this is like a secret to the life where it's like you are living Groundhog's Day over and over again, but you do have like that Bill Murray style objective of like trying to get just a little bit better and like make just a little bit
Oh,
more of a
yeah.
difference or get
Yeah.
more efficient or whatever it is. And sometimes you're going to be hit with a hardship, or sometimes there's going to be this curveball that you're not expecting, but the shape of the day is still going to be Groundhog's Day. And so it's like you have to kind of work within that constraint.
Yeah, I
I don't
agree with
know. For
that.
me, I'm starting to realize like so much of life is like built around that.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're all getting better every year.
Exactly.
A little bit better.
I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot, especially as we're getting into like winter solstice time, right? Where it's like darkest day of the year. That is the turning point. Like, and it hits you really quick where it's like, like right now, like I'm out doing night chores like 3:30. But like
Yeah.
it will probably be another month or two before it'll be like, oh wow, it's 4:30. I can like push my chore time already. This is great. Like, and you just keep pushing it and pushing it until like you're burning out in June and you're like, I just need some sleep. And like I can't go to bed till 10 and can't wake up till 4 and like, oh gosh, again.
Oh, man.
Oh, wait a minute. So I'm gonna be down in North Carolina in the end of February, or no, beginning of February. So actually Jess and I are doing a live show in Charlotte. If you guys want to make the trick out, it could be a
Mm.
lot of fun. And Alex, we're doing one in Boston too. We're just like kind of trying to do something a little different. We're like do like a stage show, and like kind of tell stories and hang out with people and like doing that. And so yeah, I'll be down. And so if we could try to figure, I'd love to like see you guys. Like it's been way too long.
Yeah.
That'd be
That is
cool.
that is
Yeah.
one of the downsides to homestead life, right? It's like you don't leave, you don't go visit your friends very much. That is the
It's tough.
I'd argue it's one of
It
my
is
least
tough.
favorite parts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or
Yep.
you feel guilty for leaving. Like, why am I like, yeah,
Yeah.
hard on myself for leaving. I'm like, I shouldn't be leaving.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're like, well, I'm slacking and I'm leaving the dogs here, and I think I've got a
Yeah.
great farm sitter, but still, like, oh,
Right.
but
I don't deserve it. No.
no, but yeah, no, I'll definitely
That
let's try
sounds
to figure out
interesting.
how to hang out this winter.
Yeah, that sounds interesting though. So you guys just gonna be like on a stage and like just talking about stories and just
Yeah, we're just gonna be telling stories. We got a theater, the Night Theater down in Charlotte, and so I think it's February 7th, and
you got
yeah,
people like buy
yeah,
tickets
we're
for
selling
that?
tickets. Yeah, it's gonna be like a fun like live show. Like, I mean, it's like one of those things where it was like, how do we do something that's kind of like an event, but not like a homesteading conference, right? Which is kind of, very kind of similar shape and fashion, and like, make it something like a little bit like different, and maybe even reach folks who aren't typically around. Like, so like we're actually like we're doing just a test of two cities right now, so Charlotte and Boston, and see how it goes. And if not, we might do more cities, but like actually doing them in like cities proper versus like, like typically like a homestead conference, right? It's like at a fairgrounds or something like that.
Oh
And
yeah,
so yeah, it's
different
I've got like
setup.
a whole like live show that I've been writing and drawing that I'll be doing for it. Jess has something she's been working on. It should be a lot of fun.
That's cool, man. Could sell some of your
Yeah,
comics
that's
there.
cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cool guys. I think we'll end it there. Morgan, what's your book coming up? It's not out yet.
It's Dirt Rich Living. So
Okay.
it's coming out in February. Pre-sales are open now. I'll give you a link that has like all of these things because I know there's always so many things
Yeah.
going on. If you wanted to share just that one link, it's the best one to go. It's like my link tree.
Okay.
But yeah, Dirt Rich Living.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'll put that link down in the notes of this video. So, yeah, man, it was really cool talking with you. And
Yeah,
it's been a while. We'll hang out again. So I
yeah,
appreciate you
we
coming on.
Yeah.
definitely should. Yeah, and yeah, it's good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome to have you, Morgan. It was good
Yeah,
to talk to you again.
awesome. All right, good to see you guys. Have a great night.
All right,
Good
we'll
seeing
see
you.
you.
Yeah.
Later.